You're listening to an MDS podcast.
Today we're going to talk about video games. I know. We all love to play them. We all love to talk about them. Sometimes we even stream them. But what about two best friends, hopefully, talk about their times together and separate from birth until now, playing the game that they love so much and all the consoles to go along with them, amounting up thousands of dollars and thousands of hours of good times. All right, guys, we'll see you on the couch. My voice has been clear and beautiful for years.
Oh, really? I'd love to hear that.
And you shall.
I've yet to hear it.
Well, if you came to the Candy Center debut, you would have heard it.
Your premieres are too far away.
No, you can take a trip. Take a lovely trip with your wife.
Speaking of trips, are you coming down for 4th of July?
No?
July 2nd? Because I keep getting asked by everybody else.
My gosh. I completely forgot this was a thing.
Yeah, I keep getting asked, is Ben going to be there? So that's been the big question. It's almost as big as the question of, do you draw on your edges of your afro? So
hey, I'm just saying,
each answer is a yes and a maybe. So you want to connect the dots of which is which.
Well, I connect the dots like I do with my hair. I'm honestly not even lying. I draw out like where the edges stop, and then I fill in. I put in the line.
Yeah, no, nobody was actually. We can tell. There's no.
Hey, if women can do that for their edges, why can't I?
Okay. I just remember it was raining when you were here, and I was afraid that
you got worried for me.
Yeah, your edges were going to start crying off. So
I know somehow I just end up getting thicker eyebrows, or I get a mustache. I finally get facial hair.
My edges are running.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with season 2, episode 2. Woo! 2. Yeah.
I see you've grasped on to the fact that this is season number 2 of the Burney Denniston household. How's it going, everybody? My name is Isaac Denniston, and I'm here with Benjamin Tyrone Burney here at the Burney Denniston household.
At least I do that. When I do that for you, I say your correct middle name. Tyrone is not my middle name anymore on Facebook.
I'm not gonna lie, Ben. I don't know what your middle name is. And you've told me multiple times. But the fact that your Facebook said Benjamin Tyrone, why did it say Tyrone? Like you just decided to put that in there, and then you couldn't change it for a minute, right? Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, Facebook said I changed my name one too many times, and so I was stuck with Tyrone. At least it wasn't anything too embarrassing. Like it could have been, Watermelon Andrea, and I could have been stuck with that for a long time and be like, "Oh crap, I got to deal with this."
Watermelon Andrea, Watermelon. But so when it says you changed it one too many times, was changing it once too many times?
No.
Or did you have a few other changes in there?
I had a few other changes in there. At one point, I'm sure it just said Ben Burney, and then I changed to Benjamin Burney. I think one time I actually put my full name, Benjamin, middle name Burney, and my suffix. And
Wayne Burney.
Nope, that's not it at all. Really showing off our twin. My whole belief. The only way you can be best friends with someone is if they know your middle name, and you don't know my middle name.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that being one of your beliefs because you have many. I don't. No. I didn't write that one down.
Name. I only have one belief for twinship, for best friendship, and that is you have to know the person's middle name.
So the fact that you weren't my best man doesn't affect our friendship. So that's good. Because that was your other belief too. So
I don't want to do this stupid podcast no more. Let's hurry up and finish this. Yeah, made me mad now. I'm over here, just plotting. How I'm going to ruin your fish fry for July 2nd.
Okay, it's not a fish fry. It's this thing. Anyways, we're talking about video games today, isn't that right, Ben? We're talking about video games. What was the first thing that you got as a video game? Like, what was it a Game Boy? I know that was my first one. Was it a Sega? Well, what was your first thing of video games?
I'll probably say the one thing I remember most would be, oh gosh, I can't. It's either Spyro on was the Nintendo Cube.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was on my PlayStation 1. I had Spyro on PlayStation 1, and probably the game I loved the most was my Game Boy Advanced. No, I'm sorry. That was not my first game though. It was my first system. It was the Game Boy Colored.
That was my first system as well too.
It was
what games did you play on that?
Game Boy Color. I played Eminem.
Eminem,
I don't know if I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it was a game about the M&Ms, like the little characters, the green ones.
There's an Eminem candy game on Game Boy. I'm looking this up right now. There's an Eminem candy game.
I kid
Game Boy
not.
Color.
There was. It was. I can't explain exactly what it was, but it was the Eminem game, and you had to. Oh, it was kind of like how Sonic Run. You had to go through a level from left to right, and you had to go through all these obstacles. You had to jump over stuff that could damage you and different things like that.
This is. I just looked it up. Eminem Mini Madness.
Mini's Madness. Yep, that's the one. That is the exact one. Oh my gosh!
One of the early games that I played was outside of the Game Boy Color and stuff like that. Was my Aunt Kathy, who I stayed with during the day. She had her family had the game called M&M's and the Lost Formulas. And the cool thing was you started out by driving the yellow and red M&M drove a car, and you had to try and get through all these obstacles, kind of like Subway Surfers or whatever. And then finally you get to the next part of the game. But just driving the car was hard as heck.
I'm listening to you, but at the same time, I'm watching a gameplay video of M&M's Mini's Madness on the Game Boy Color, and I gotta say, this is nostalgia right here. Oh, you
can download that still, right?
It's not the same. I didn't like the game, but it was the only game I had, and it just got so frustrating. I did not like it. But anywho. That was my first game on the Game Boy Color. And then when
I'm looking at this game right now. All this is a crossover between. It's a crossover between everything that made Mario be a good game and Sonic be a good game. It's a 2D platformer.
That's what it was.
That's all it is. But you put the M&M characters on there.
That's exactly what it was. And you know what? So much time was passed through that game, and so because that's all I had. I wasn't a big gamer, so I had maybe one or two games, and that was just the game I had. And then
you had one or two Game Boy Color games.
Honestly, for that system, I believe that was the only game I had.
So okay, well, so for me, I had Game Boy Color was my first one as well. Like the first one that was mine. That was my system or whatever was Game Boy Color. And I only remember a few games as well for me. The number one game, the game that I can remember getting with the Game Boy Color, or the game that I remember playing first was there's this Elmo game that would help you learn your ABCs and all that stuff. But then also the game that I played the most though was Toy Story 2. And same thing, it was a 2D platformer game like that as well, but loved it. Spent so many hours on it. I think we also had Monsters Inc. Oh, I remember the best game on it actually. There's a Mickey's Racing game, and I played it literally when we went to Disney World, and it was. I've tried playing it since then and cannot beat it because it's that hard. It is that hard. Have you gone back and tried to play some of those old games you played before?
From my childhood.
Yeah,
No, I honestly haven't because I don't have any of those systems. Um,
the
you
games seem
know,
harder, especially like ones that you watched other people play.
I feel like Spyro was that game. I feel like if I tried to pick up Spyro now, it would be a wrap. I would not be able to do as well as I did on it. And let me tell you, the terrible thing about the PlayStation One and and Spyro was that I don't know if anyone else did this, but instead of for some reason we couldn't save the game. I think we didn't have a memory card. I think that's what it
Yeah,
was.
you had to purchase the memory card. I had a PlayStation 1 as well.
We didn't have a memory card. So what we did was we would just turn off the TV, put the game on pause, and then just let it go. Like we would never turn off the system. That thing
Yep.
would overheat or do whatever. It could have exploded in the middle of the night. But
You could cook steaks on that thing because we would do the same thing because I'd lose the memory card. And boy, can I tell you, I got so upset with my dog. This was actually with the PlayStation 2. I had done my whole career on NASCAR 2006 Total Team Control by EA Sports. And
okay. Plug.
and this was actually with the memory card, but my dog Joey at the time ran through the house to bark at something and ran to a cord or whatever, knocked over my PlayStation 2. My memory card flew out of it, and because she did that, everything got corrupted on that memory card. I lost years of work. Years of work. I mean, I poured more hours into that than I did on any homework assignment at the time.
Than on your actual degrees. Oh, that's so sad. Oh, all 6.5 of those years working on that degree and still counting. Oh gosh.
I mean, we're talking tens, probably even over 100 hours, right?
No, I get you. That was the thing to do, especially in this. I mean, it kind of all falls back to that time we talked about, TV shows and whatnot. If you had an hour or two to kill before your next TV show came on, you put in a couple of levels, a couple of hours of work on that game, go right back to your TV show, and you called it a night, especially during summertime, which we just finished. You want to go back and watch season 2, episode 1, summertime with Isaac and Ben.
You do recognize they don't watch these things. They don't watch where them. It's a podcast.
Where Irish guacamole is the topic of discussion. Anywho. Maybe they like to stare at the screensaver for us. You know what? You never know.
But the reason I was asking about the games seem harder then is I remember my Uncle Joey had on the Sega had the Toy Story 2 game that came out for that. And that game seemed incredibly hard. I remember watching him play it.
I know what you're talking about. I saw my friend play Toy Story. That game was insane. I remember the bouncing ball. Am I remembering?
Yeah.
There was a bouncing ball. You had to get
jump
past
on it correctly.
Yeah,
you got to get past it. Then you got to come back and jump on it. So, fun fact: when everything shut down back in 2020, I'm trying to think whose Sega I have. I have somebody's Sega. They gave it to me years ago.
Some little girl was crying and bawling her eyes out because she's like, "All I wanted was a Sega. Mr. Denniston stole it."
No, I didn't. Not from one of my students. It was one of my family members' Segas. I think
even worse.
My cousins. Yeah, someone's out there going, "I gave that to you as a present," but no. But I got it out, and I had to go online and purchase that Toy Story game, and I went back and I played it. And I tried so hard at it. And there were still some levels where I was like, I'm never getting through this. But I actually beat it, and I had never felt so much relief from that. Like, I felt like I just ran a marathon. I felt so good about completing that game. But it seemed a lot harder as a kid. So that's why I asked.
Oh, so you completed it. You got 100%?
Well, it's not one of those, like, you can go back and do more like the Lego games or whatever, where you get a percentage. But yes, I got to the way you knew the game was over was when the credits came on, and I got to the credit scene. There was that on the Sega, and then also Sonic the Hedgehog 2. My My cousin and I played a whole lot. Her and I would trade off, and we got so close to the end of that game, and ended up dying. And I remember she was upset, I was upset, and I've never gotten that close to the end on that game since. Maybe that might be a goal for the summer. I don't know. So Game Boy Color. Then I'm guessing you got Game Boy Advance after that, or is that when you got the PS1?
No, I had the PS1. These years I have no idea like what years they came out or anything like that. But I remember having PS1 and the Game Boy Color at the same time. So, yeah. And I honestly was not a person that liked to be on the PlayStation. I really didn't like having a controller and sitting there and doing that. I like the portability. And so especially I would always, of course, like when you're a kid, you always did the errands with your parents. So I would always go on the errands with my mom and my dad. And so I couldn't bring Spyro with me. So what did I do? I put the most amount of time in M&M's Minis Madness. And then once, if they finally came out, my father bought me the Game Boy, Game Boy Advanced?
Here's the big question, because I was about to ask about when you're playing that Game Boy Color, what was the most annoying thing when you were in the car about it?
Oh, like hitting a bump.
Not the bump, but say you're on a long car ride, and the hours start to get it either dies or the sun goes down and you can't see a thing.
Oh, that's right. That was a big issue with that system. I remember. Because I remember with the. What was it? I think it was called the SP Advance Game Boy.
Yes.
The great thing, there was a little button on the bottom square is that you could press it to brighten up to 3 different settings of brightness, and I loved it. And especially that was before, ladies and gentlemen, you Gen Z and Qs and everything out there. This was the day before.
I'm Gen Z, technically. Actually,
you're Gen X. This is the day before you could just press the button on your phone and energy saver and all that stuff. No. And this day, the energy saver was sometimes it was turning your Game Boy on and off real quick so you can still get that battery going.
Yep.
Or it was turning down the brightness. That was probably the biggest thing. But definitely, there was a few times where I just had to quickly, on and off on the game, and you had an extra bar of life there. And so,
did you ever leave that cord on a big trip?
Well, okay. Well, here's the thing. Okay, I'm talking about the SP Advance. Now, I don't remember the Game Boy Color too much because it was just so bulky. It needed batteries, and
it took 2 AA's.
Yeah, so I honestly maybe played it for a couple of times, and then my dad bought me the SP Advance. So it was kind of obsolete at that point.
So you went from Game Boy Color to Game Boy SP?
Yeah, pretty quickly. Yeah,
that's what I did too. I went from Game Boy Color then, and I think
because it was the hottest thing out there. And let me tell that thing came out, it would cost $250. I can't believe that little machine cost $250.
The thing that amazed me about it though was I was playing Game Boy Color, and I remember other people getting the Game Boy Advance, so they're able to play all these other cool games and Game Boy Color games on it. And I remember going to birthday parties and stuff and being like, man, I wish I had that. And of course, I was asking that for my birthday. And then the Game Boy SP comes out literally like weeks before my birthday. Like I hadn't even seen one in the stores yet. I had only seen commercials, which those were insane commercials. You should look up Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color commercials online. Sometimes they're insane. But I remember my mom surprised me with the Game Boy SP. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this thing hasn't even been out for like 2 weeks. And you surprised me with this. This is insane. Aww. But the backlight on that thing, amazing. Like it changed. You could play those games at night. You could play those games before going to bed. You could play that was beautiful about it. And it's still portable. You can also play Game Boy Color games on it, all that stuff. I had an insane amount of Game Boy Advance games, but that was also back in the era, which I kind of miss this era of like obviously I was a kid and so I was into Disney movies. I still am, but whenever a movie would come out or whenever there'd be a popular TV show or whatever, a game would come out with it as well. There'd be a Game Boy game that came out with every movie and stuff like that. There'd be a Game Boy game that came out with every TV show. And no, the games weren't good half the time, but it was awesome because it's like, well, I just watched this movie. Now I'm going to play the game. I loved it.
See, you got into the full spirit of like their marketing ploy. I never got into that. I liked what I liked. And for me, it was Pokemon. I was a huge game card collector. I had over 5,000 Pokemon cards as a kid. And, for me,
did you have Emerald? Wasn't that one of the games, Pokemon Emerald or whatever?
Okay, so my first Pokemon game would have been, and this was actually on, I think, the Game Boy Color. It was the it was Pokemon Yellow, and I think that's where you were forced to have Pikachu as your starter Pokemon, if I'm correct. And then the graphics were so bad. If I remember, I think it was actually in black and white. Like it was that bad. And then for the SP, I got Ruby Red. Oh my gosh, let me tell you, I played that thing forever. I remember because if you went to the save file, it would say how many hours you had on this profile. And I think I had a good amount of over like 400, 500, 600 hours. Oh my gosh, I miss it now.
See, I never got into I never traded Pokemon cards. And actually, I didn't know too many people who did that. People I knew, though, were doing a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff. Never really got into that either. So I didn't play the Pokemon games. My game that I played the most on Game Boy was Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. And
yeah,
actually,
Twin. We talked about this. Yeah,
that game was amazing. And actually, I on my bed, on my nightstand right now by my bed is a Game Boy that I purchased during quarantine a couple years ago, and that game is in it because I'm trying to beat the game all over again. And so that game was, I spent so many hours on that. That was the biggest game I played on the Game Boy by far.
I think that was like probably the biggest game that came out for that system. It was just because it was just so. I mean, the graphics were amazing, and because we're talking about mirror effects and everything, it was just such a great game. And I remember I beat that thing so many times, and I would keep going back and replaying the ending for some reason. Like once you collected each was a mirror piece from each world, you put it together, and then you have to fight a mirror version of yourself. I kept doing it. It was just so fun, and I think I was just bored and had nothing else to do. But it was just so nostalgic every time I replayed it, and good days.
So the best Game Boy game, this is including Game Boy Color, that sold the most was the Pokemon Red, Green, Blue, and Yellow.
Oh, it was those that sold the most?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I had Pokemon Yellow, so I was part of the trend.
Yep. It's not telling me of Game Boy Advance games though. So, but yeah, the Pokemon Blue, Red, and Yellow was the most sold. Tetris was right under it, but that came with the original Game Boy. The reason it's black and white is because the original Game Boy was only black and white.
So that's probably what happened. Okay.
Here you go. Number one for Game Boy Advance was Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire.
Woo! I was part of the trend. Pokemon Ruby.
Number 2 was Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. Number 3 was Pokemon Emerald. Then number 4, which I had this game, was Mario Kart Super Circuit. Did you have that one?
No.
That was, I mean, it was, I'd seen people play Mario Kart on the GameCube, but it was cool to actually have that in my hands. Yeah, I'm not seeing Kirby high on this list at all. Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland is 16 on the list.
No, I wonder. Okay, I need to see a picture of that. I think that's the one. I feel like I had that game too. What was it called? Nightmare in Dreamland?
Yeah. Mario versus Donkey Kong. I had that game. That's 29 on the list. Kirby and the Amazing Mirror is 26, by the way.
Okay.
26 on the list. Some that beat that though, that is amazing to me. Finding Nemo, which I don't know if you played that game.
Never.
I don't remember it being that good. I might have to replay. I have it still. The Namco Museum, which is like all the Pac-Mans and stuff like that. That was number 8. And then of course you've got the Super Mario. You've got Mario and Pokemon pretty much filling out the whole top 10. So, which makes sense. All right, let's move on from Game Boy Advance. That's a portability was beautiful about that. That's such a honestly, it was a look into the future of now. You know, we have our phones and people can play games on their phones and all that stuff, take it wherever. The Game Boy was the original to do that though. That was what was nice.
Yeah, because you could take it. You could finally take it. Take it off the wire. You weren't forced to stay at the TV and take up all that time. You could just have it in your hands, take it on the go.
Again, twin though, did you ever leave that cord on a trip? Because I did that. I remember we went to a wedding in Michigan.
I'm confused on what cord you're talking about.
The charging cord for the SP, because the SP did not take just regular batteries, so you had to charge it. And so,
the SP I used a cord. Yeah, it didn't have batteries.
Did you ever forget the cord? Is what I'm saying. Because I remember going to my cousin's wedding in Michigan. Mind you, this is a long trip. This is like a 4-hour trip, and I forgot the cord. Or I left the cord at the hotel, I think, at the wedding. And so we're on our way back from the wedding, and I have no power cord for my Game Boy Advance. And now I got to spend the whole rest of the car ride not playing my Game Boy. Well, everybody else in their car played the Game Boy. So PlayStation 1, the thing about PlayStation 1 for me is I don't get that till later. We all of a sudden got a PlayStation 1 from a garage sale. This is when like PlayStation 3 is about to come out. But what I do remember about PlayStation 2 is my best friend Preston had one. And when we became friends in 3rd grade and we started having sleepovers and stuff like that. And he showed me two. We had sleepovers.
What?
Like friends do. Did you ever have a sleepover with a friend in elementary school?
We weren't best friends in childhood?
Not in 3rd grade, no. I didn't even know you. But he showed me 2 games on that first sleepover, and it changed my life. He showed me NASCAR Thunder 2003, and he showed me Grand Theft Auto Vice City. And I kid you not, we were up the rest of the time. Not the rest of the night, the rest of the weekend playing those games. We would play. I want to play those games nonstop. Was awful at those games. I was bad at those games, but oh my goodness, were they so much fun? It was so much fun. And that made me want to get a PlayStation for so long. And then I finally got a PlayStation 2 when the PS3 came out. I was kind of behind the times for a long time there, but it was fine.
See, for me, I always like the portable stuff because like I said, I was always riding in the car with mom. And so, I mean, I didn't want to, and if I was at home, I was watching TV. So I was, I could be on I could play my game and watch TV at the same time. So I didn't really care for the play. I didn't go past the PlayStation 1. I didn't think there was a point, and there was really no games I wanted to play other than, my Pokemon games. So I was good to go.
So what's the next thing that you get after that then? What's the next game system or whatever you get into?
Nintendo.
So you were a DS person. I see. Once the DS came out, I never got a DS. And I saw other people have the DS on, so never got it. So I never really played DS games or anything like that. I thought it was cool that you could message each other on there. You had the whole Picto chat thing.
You could.
Although on the Game Boy, did you ever play multiplayer on the Game Boy Advance?
Okay, yeah, you needed the cord. I never
You
had a
needed the
friend
cord.
who had it. Yeah.
I would play with my cousins. And oh my goodness, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Be able to do like Mario Kart and stuff like that with the cord. That was amazing. Now it's second nature because we can do that online. But the DS, I felt like was another step forward. So, what were some games you played with the DS?
With the DS, that was the great thing about the Nintendo, the first one, not the 3DS, but the regular, Nintendo DS. One thing, it came with a stylus, so you could draw on the pad and do whatever. But the great thing was you could transfer your games to the Nintendo DS. So it was just like the Game Boy Advance SP, where you could take the big fat, game cartridges and just apply it to that game. You could do the same thing for the Nintendo DS. So that's what I did.
That still. Why don't they do that still? I remember also you could get a attachment to the GameCube and plug in your Game Boy game into the GameCube. What? And that just blew my mind. Yeah, you could get an attachment to the GameCube and play your Game Boy game on the TV.
Huh.
Just amazing.
But no, like you said, I know we talked about this the other day, but why don't game companies just create like a universal, like adapters for everything? Obviously, they have the technology. If they could do it, what was this, 15 years ago? They could obviously do it today. We have the means, we have the know-how to do it. But I think it's obviously just a money grab. That's all it is.
How is that? How is that going to deter people from buying your product? That's going to make me want to buy your product more. One of the reservations I have whenever they come out with a new thing is I'm like, okay, well, then all my other games just become obsolete because I'm buying this new system. If I can play my older games on your new system, I'm going to be more inclined to buy your new system. It just doesn't make sense to me why they would do that. It doesn't make sense. And I think Nintendo Switch is onto something right now because they have the whole thing where they introduced it a couple years ago where you could start playing Super Nintendo games on there. And now they have it to where you can play Nintendo 64 games on the Nintendo Switch. So they're starting to, I'm waiting for the day, and I think it's coming soon, Twin. I'm waiting for the day when you can start playing Game Boy games on the Switch. Life will be complete at that point. I'm waiting for the day.
So your life is done once they do that?
Yes, it is done. Well done, good and faithful servant. I'm done. Yes. that will be a great day. But yeah, I got into PlayStation 2. This is middle school. And when I think of middle school, I really do think of me playing NASCAR 2008 and NASCAR 2009 on my PlayStation 2. I would literally skip school so I could play NASCAR all day long. I would play it in the middle of the night. I'd play it all summer long. I can remember being on the wrestling team, which that's a whole nother thing. There was no business of me doing wrestling. I would literally just lay there on the ground while everybody else was wrestling because half the time nobody was in my weight class. And then when I get up there to the mat, I just fall down to the ground. But I can remember being at wrestling practice or skipping wrestling practice or being at a wrestling meet thinking, I can't wait to just go home and play more NASCAR. I was addicted to it. That is all I did. I spent so many hours playing those games. I don't even want to count up how many hours I played those games. It was insane.
No, I was the same. Now when I look back and be like, okay, I may have played a little too much. But
I knew I was playing too much at the time. I literally developed I developed an eye twitch in middle school, and there's some recordings of me and because I was even doing versions of the Mr. Denniston show even back then, and there's recordings of me and stuff where you literally see me blink, and I can't just blink once. I had to blink like 3 times because I developed a whole eye twitch thing. My eye would just hurt or whatever. And I'm pretty sure it's from staring at the TV screen for that long. It was unhealthy what I was doing. It was very unhealthy. But that was the middle school years for me. When I think of middle school, I think of that.
I would say that was just the thing to do. If you weren't in extracurricular activities, and I mean, it was again, for me, it was just the biggest thing was on the weekends when mom had because she would run all her errands on Saturdays and Sundays, and so I had to be in the car with her. And I wasn't going into the stores or anything like that. I know this is back in the day when you could leave your child in the car and not get sued for it. She would just leave me in the car, and she's like, "You don't
not get sued for it."
And not get sued.
I'm just gonna let that go.
Yeah, child endangerment. And funny thing is, my mom works for children's services, so she knew better. But
hey, not long of a walk.
I know you can have them pick me up and take me to her job, and she just go and get me. Anywho, I would just sit in the car and play my game. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'd be like, "Yes, I am." It was only when my game would die, I'd be like, "No, ma, we need to go home now. I need to charge my game.
I'm not okay.
I'm not okay. I'm not okay." But then if that would happen, I would just be like, "All right, mom, food court. Time for the food court."
Oh my goodness. Yeah. All I can think of is eating and playing those games. That's all I can think of middle school.
Simple times. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I would not, and this is hilarious because I teach middle school. I would never ever want to go back to those years of my life. Never.
Really?
Never. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about middle school now, is because of my schooling years. Those were some of the worst years, as far as like some of the worst teachers I ever had were in middle school. And I had some really good ones too. I mean, some of those teachers are the reason why I became a teacher, because I loved what they did so much. But some teachers I had too were teachers that I knew did not care one bit. They were just there for a paycheck. Friends, I went through so many issues with friends and stuff like that, drama, the whole identity crisis of trying to be cool when you're not cool and trying to be someone you're not. It's just everything's changing. Your voice is changing. You're self-conscious about everything. It's just they were not good years for good old Isaac Denniston. They were not good years. Yeah, I still live them every day. That's the funny thing.
Some would say, he's still not having those good years. I mean, we're still waiting for that turnaround.
I always say I peaked as a toddler. If you look at pictures of me as a toddler, I peaked when I was then. So it's just been downhill from there. But high school years, did you play? What were you playing then when you were in high school? You play any games? You get into the whole iPod Touch kind of stuff, or
I got the Wii.
The Wii. Goodness, what an amazing thing the Wii is. Of the fact that they take something that parents were upset about, of children spending too much time on video games and not being active. They're spending too much time staring at a screen and not being active. And these people went, okay, what if we can take the video games that the kids are into and then also have it make it so that they have to be active in order to play these games? What an amazing invention of what they did. And
I'm sorry, is this message brought to you by Nintendo Wii? Like,
yes, because they need to sell more, apparently. Because they need to sell more. But you know what I'm saying? Like, and I remember so many families purchasing that. It's got to be one of the top sold gaming systems of all time.
I would say that. I would say either that or PlayStation. Because PlayStation,
really?
I'll look it up. Let's look it up. What is the top selling?
Sony PlayStation 2 is the best-selling game system overall, with over 155 million units. This amazes me, though, because the reason I'm saying we should have been it is because there's nothing like it. The PlayStation, you have the Xbox going against it.
I will say the Xbox Connect that did try to rival it.
Try to, but you had to already have an Xbox at that point. It's the whole thing. Yeah. So I'm amazed here. The PlayStation here. So here's the top of the games. You got PlayStation 2. Then right under that, you've got Nintendo DS with 154 million sold. PlayStation 2, 155. Game Boy and Game Boy Color, you have 118. So there's a huge drop between those two. 118 million. PlayStation 4 is under that with 117.
I don't even remember PS4. I only remember PS3 and the PS5.
I have a PS4. I just recognized that I have a PS4 in my house right now. So that's how. And then under that is Nintendo Switch, which, mind you, that number is just going to keep on rising. It's at 107 million right now. Then under that, you have the PlayStation 1, 102. And under that, you have the Wii at 101. So that's amazing to me. Game Boy Advance is pretty far down the list as well. I mean, it's under Xbox 360, but right above PlayStation Portable. Did you ever see that, the PSP?
Okay. Oh, this is what I wanted to talk to you about too. Well, this it ties into the Wii, so it's a quick long story. So my mom got me the Wii for Christmas. I'm talking about this is when the first year the Wii came out. I'm talking this thing was like $300, $400, $500. My mom tricked me. For Christmas, I opened up coupons to Steak and Shake and some socks. That's what I got for Christmas that year. And then I was being a brat, and I started crying, and I was like, Mom, when we go over family members' houses today, and they ask me what I get for Christmas, I'm gonna tell them I got socks and coupons, and you're gonna look like a fool. And then she went up
to your mom. You could not know that you guys could have been on hard times at that point.
I know we really could have been. We could have been.
This is around 2009. What else is happening around this time? I don't know. The stock market crashing.
I also
gas prices going up.
I also want to point out this is the first year of Obama's administration. The Obama years were really good. Anywho,
you ungrateful fool over there going, you just got me socks, and maybe those socks replace somebody eating that week. You never know. I don't think you get the true meaning of Christmas.
Again, we lived in Austintown. Okay. Anywho, so she goes upstairs. She thought it was all funny because she's morbidly funny, and so she did that as a joke. She keeps ruining Christmas for me, but that's another story another time. And so she went upstairs and she came back down, me sniffling, looking like a blubbering fool. She comes down with one more gift. I'm like, I don't even want to open this gift. And then eventually I open it, and it's the new Nintendo Wii. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Mom, I love you. You could tell my love was conditional. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, Mom, I love you so much. You're amazing. And then she gave me the whole moral of the story. She was like, you remember, not every year is going to be like this where you get a station. And I'm like, yeah, of course. I wasn't a brat. I promise you. Like, I wasn't that kind of person.
Every story you tell goes against this idea that you were not a brat.
No, I wasn't. I didn't have cable. I didn't ask my mom to buy me things. I never was that kind of kid. We went Goodwill shopping. Like that we went to thrift shops. We went to garage sales.
Nothing wrong with Goodwill. Goodwill is an amazing place.
I know. I admit it. But I don't know how to explain it, but I really wasn't a brat when I was a kid. But that Christmas, it just looked really bad. I got coupons, which we went to Steak and Shake every weekend. So for me to receive coupons is like, we get these in the mail. She got these free in the mail. It wasn't like
that makes it even funnier. That makes it even funnier that she did that.
Oh, your cruelty. Anyway, so she got me the Wii. And then at first, of course, like any other kid, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. We can play together. We can lose weight. She also went out. She balled out that Christmas. She got the Nintendo Wii. She also got the board, the Wii board that you can.
The Wii Fit board.
The Wii Fit board. That's what it was. So she got the Wii Fit, the Wii Fit board. She got all the works for it. And then, of course, I played it. I loved it. And then I discovered a flaw in the system. Like many people, you could sit down and still play baseball. And all you had to do was flick your wrist and boom, home run. And so that was like the biggest. Then it was like I didn't have to stand up and play anymore. I didn't, especially if I had friends over and stuff like that. Yeah, I would. But if it was mostly just me, I was like, all right, I'm stay on this couch and get my meat character to 100. And so that's what I did.
Whenever you get I remember it was cool to get like the shiny bowling ball and Wii Sports and stuff like that. Did you when you get presents like that, would you call your friends and be like, hey, we got this? Because I remember like back then, like I'd open up a present. It was like immediately I'm like, I can't wait to get to the phone and call my cousins and be like, we got the Wii, kind of like shove it in their face like, I don't think you guys got it, but we did. And I used to remember getting but I used to remember getting mad too when they would get the same present like a week later or hours later or whatever, that they get the same present and they'd be like, you're copying me, it's not fair. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, now who sounds like a brat?
Yeah, no, I was a brat. I will admit to me being a brat. So
but anyway, how this relates to the PSP? Well, so I, like many things, I kind of stopped playing the Wii, and after like maybe a year or two, there was being told that the PSP 3000 was coming out. I was excited as can be. I love portable systems. I love my Game Boy Advance. I don't know what happened to it. I think maybe it just got old or something like that. Anyway, I really want the next best thing, and that was the PSP 3000. It was expected to come out, and it was supposed to be the next great thing. I think it was going to have internet. It was basically going to be a phone, a smartphone. You can access emails, internet, whatever, BlackBerry stuff, and all that. But main thing was you were able to play your games, and I thought this thing was so cool. And I only saw the previews for it. I only heard that it was going to come out, and then I asked my mom, and I was like, hey, I really want to buy the PSP. And she said, of course, you got to raise money for it. And I said, well, I have a way to do so. And I said, what if we sold the Wii and all the accessories? And
wow, this is how soon after she got you the Wii?
It wasn't that year. It was not that year, but I think it was like a year or two after.
The next year.
I honestly can't remember how many years it was, but I knew I just wasn't playing the Wii. It was just collecting dust. I would just watch TV or I was on the computer. So it wasn't for me playing the Wii. Once I beat it, like, the typical, the Wii sports games, that was it for me. I didn't want to go out. That was the biggest thing. I wasn't a kid who would go out and buy a $40, $50 game. That wasn't me. I didn't see the point of doing it.
I will give you this, that the Wii, just like the Game Boy, had many, many games that were not good.
Exactly. See, it was a great system, but it just did not have good games because the technology was just too far ahead of its time. Because now the best of the
games were games that were made by Nintendo. And so I'm thinking of like Mario Kart obviously was a big game for the Wii. Wii Sports, the biggest game, because it came with the Wii. I had a game called Wii Music that came with it, and that was through Nintendo. All the Mario games and stuff were great for the Wii. So it's if it wasn't made by Nintendo, though, it was usually not that good.
Exactly. So, at that point, I was just like, I'm not playing this anymore. And the PSP 3000 was something I was really looking forward to and wanted. And so she said, are you sure you really want to do this? Now, this is before I grew a conscience. Because now I feel like a terrible person for doing that. But I really wanted to get something I was actually going to use. And so we packed everything up. We went to GameStop. This is back in the good old days. I don't know if GameStop still does this, but you could pack up all your old stuff and sell it to them for a price. And that's what we did. We packed up everything for the Wii and gave it back to GameStop, got some, store credit for it. And then the PSP 3000 never came out. So we basically had a gift card that was never used. Yeah, I think it had maybe
You're telling me you got rid of the Wii for a game that hadn't come out yet? It hadn't even come out yet. It hadn't even come out yet, and you're selling it.
For a system that, yeah.
I understand the pain of the system didn't come out. You sold it before it came out. Why? How? What? Goodness.
I wish I could tell you the logic behind it. I think maybe I tried to sell it like, I don't know if the market would flux or anything like that, but I think I tried to sell it right before the holidays or like during the holiday season. So I sold it when I knew people really wanted and not an off-brand Wii, but like a used Wii. And so they would be willing to give me more credits for the stuff. And so that's what I did. I sold it during that time, during the holidays, and I was for sure thinking the PSP 3000 was going to come out that same winter. Well, then it kept getting postponed, and then it just, I don't think it ever came out. I'm trying to look it up and see if it ever did. I'm not seeing it.
Twin. I'm seeing stuff that it got released in 2008, stuff like that. But yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, yeah, I know. I feel horrible now about it. But I mean, I really thought the system was going to come out. I wanted to be ready to get it. And, that was just the time to do it. It was during the holidays when I knew I could get the most amount of credits for it. And that's what it wasn't getting any use then. But then, of course, years went by, PSP 3000 never came out. And so I remember like every once in a while, my mom would bring up, like, remember that Wii I bought you that you have credits for that you never used? And I just feel like she was morbidly funny. She was joking, but at the same time, she was like, I paid good money for that game when it came out, top of the line system.
You go and you claim that you're not a brat, but that is the brattiest thing I could ever think of doing. Wow.
Again, wow. I'm honestly not a brat. I'm not high maintenance or anything like that. I never wanted anything. There was only like a couple things in my life where I said, Mom, I really want to buy this. Tamagotchi was one of them. PSP 3000 was one of them. It just never came out.
Well, hey guys, sorry to cut this off so short, even though it feels like it's been about 5 hours. But our conversation, Twin, about video games and stuff has gone a little long, and so we decided let's cut it up into 2. How does that sound, Twin?
You know what? I say, why go with 2 when you can have 3?
Okay, now we're just now you're just milking the crap out of it like it's a GTA game. And so so tune in next week as we kind of pick up from where we left off here. We kind of left off with high school and all that stuff, and we'll start up with college in our next episode. But until then, Twin, how about you end us out here?
When the day is done and the night goes far away, when the night goes. Are you singing Amazing Grace? Stop it.
I just added some notes. That's all. I feel left out.
That sounded really familiar. It's Amazing Grace.
You do your song and then I feel left out, and
I asked you to do harmony with me and you never do.
It's gonna be a delay. Let's try.
Let's try. Here we go.
Okay, I'm not harmonizing though. We'll do.
Okay, fine. We'll just do it together. See if this thing's set. Right. 3, 2, 1. When the day is done and the night goes far away, and the night is. There was such a bad delay. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a great time here on the Burney Denniston household. We'll see you next time on the cool side of the pillow. And every future is a present, and
every present is a future, and the future is bright.
That's how the cookie crumbles, ladies and gentlemen. See you next time on the couch.
Bye-bye.
Bye.